Well, good evening. It is Saturday evening at 6:45 here. I wanted to take a minute to jump online and talk about our chance for some severe weather as we head into our Sunday here. So, as I make sure things are working, let me know where you're watching from. We always enjoy hearing where our viewers are checking in from, and we will talk about our threat for severe weather here in Central Illinois. Looks like things are working good here, so hang on here. I just want to check one more thing, and we will get a rocking and a rolling here in a minute and discuss more about what we are anticipating for tomorrow. So that's our risk of severe weather. It's not the biggest risk ever. It's quite conditional. We've got to have a few things line up to work, but I think it's worth talking about. It's the Christmas season, and the chances there, yes, for maybe a couple of tornadoes, some strong winds, and some hail. And so we'll take the time to just kind of make sure that folks are aware here. Somebody may hear this message a lot from Facebook and the app and things of that, but I think the more people we can reach just to say, hey, there is a chance, the less people will be caught off guard. And so that's my thought process as we continue to work our way through things. Looks like folks are checking in. Looks like the sound is good, so we will go ahead and get started. If you're watching this, I think this is valid through Saturday night. I'll have an update with the evening guidance on WCIA 3 News at 10 o'clock and make any adjustments there as needed. And then we expect an update overnight. So tomorrow morning, I'll be in watching our first round of storms and keeping an eye on things. And then you'll see Kevin and I with perhaps Seth and Adam helping out in various capacities with what's going on for our chance for some storms here. Looks like we got a lot of folks on checking on in. Charlie is checking in from Matt Toon. Thanks, Charlie, for checking in there. We've got Westville. Allie is checking on in, and Judy down in Chicken Bristle here. So, Judy, thanks for checking in Chicken Bristle, perhaps my favorite town name in the whole area. We've got that. And then we'll do one last one. Chad is checking in from Matt Toon there. Thanks for watching here again. Thanks for following us and being with us. They only give me like 3.5 minutes on TV. That is not enough time to explain the different nuances, the things we're watching here. It's not a slam dunk forecast. It's more conditional. A couple things need to line up, but the general trend since this past week has been moving towards that. At one point, we thought we might scrape through without any problems from this front, which would have been unusual. Weather guidance finally flipped the cards and said, actually, there could be some severe storms, and that's why we're here. So currently, the Storm Prediction Center has us at a marginal risk for our entire area here for tomorrow. It's possible the overnight update comes out around midnight, 1 a.m., could up this to a slight risk. That's something that we will consider and be looking for as a possibility. I don't see us moving further down the list. So probably the 2 is the highest I think we'd go here with how things look. And even if they don't update it at midnight, it could be the morning update tomorrow where they say, things are starting to line up a little better. Maybe that's when they move in that direction. So that's something that we'll be considering here. Let's talk about the storm ingredients. We've got a really strong low pressure system that's coming on through here. And so there's a lot of wind shear aloft here. In the wintertime, typically we have a lot more wind shear in the atmosphere, and we don't have as much instability. And that's the case with this here. We got plenty of lift to a strong cold front. I say strong, emphasizing strong there, and a strong low pressure system, both helping with that. So 2 of them, absolutely, the ingredients are there. Also, moisture is there. We are noticing in some areas, some of you may be having some fog already. That's the warm and humid air lifting back on in here. And so moisture is not a concern with us. The question mark is instability. So you can see there's not many things that we have to watch for. It's not like, there's 3 or 4 things that need to come together. Really, I think the key is instability. There will be some right on that threshold where maybe it's enough. Could we just go over that line? Sure. I mean, it's a very fine line that we're looking at there from going maybe it's just a couple of rumbly thunderstorms to maybe a bit of a problem for us here. So that's what we're looking at here, instability. And in this system, I don't think we need a lot of sunshine. We may not have any sunshine. I don't think the instability is coming from sunshine. Rather, I think we are bringing it in with some winds from the south that it will pull it in along that front. And so there may not be sunshine tomorrow ahead of these storms. If we happen to get some sunshine, even an hour or 2, that sets us over the line. So that's something we'll watch for too and see, can we get a little sunshine to mix on? And if that's the case, then certainly my concern will rise pretty quickly as we go into the afternoon here. All right, so here's the strong low pressure system that's coming on through. You probably have heard the term bomb cyclone, perhaps on social media. It sounds scary. It's really intimidating. And that is what this is. It is a meteorological term to describe a rapidly strengthening low pressure. And as this passes on by, it technically reaches that bomb cyclone threshold. It is deepening very quickly, strengthening very quickly. A lot of wind shear with that, a lot of wind energy with that, and a lot of cold air gets pulled in the backside here. And so the system comes on through, and that's why some of the concern is there. On the warm side, we'll talk about the winter side in a bit. On the warm side, though, at this point in central Illinois, the threat for tornadoes, wind, hail, and flooding, all on the lower level here. But we are looking at a window from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The threat is not the same as we go on through. I'll show you that on Future Track in a bit here. But in general, the tornado threat is low. We'll see if it needs to tick up a little bit from where we're sitting. Winds 60 to 70 mile per hour. Some hail possible. That favors the morning more than it does the afternoon, but quarter size, maybe we can get a little larger than that. And then some flooding. Some areas could see a little bit of heavy rain, but I don't expect this to be a big flash flood event for us here. Coverage on the severe weather side of things seems to be more scattered. There might be a few storms that are a little more intense here, so we'll watch that trend and see how it does. The morning storms bring that more hail, maybe a wind threat with it. The tornado threat after 11 a.m. starts to pick up, I think. We're done by 6 p.m., so that's some good news for us here. Let's walk you through Future Track. I think this makes more sense for you here when we talk about what's going on. First off, some scattered showers, some fog, mist, drizzle, possible overnight tonight. 5:30 in the morning tomorrow, we wake up. Not much happening. Maybe still some of that fog, mist, and drizzle. It will warm up overnight, though. When you go to bed, look at the temperature on your phone, check your weather app, see what it is. When you wake up, do it again. You'll see the temperature is probably up 5, 6, 7 degrees potentially. It depends on when you go to bed. Some of you that may stay up till midnight, 1 a.m., it's already going to be warm by then here. But we will see temperatures rise overnight tonight. Typically, they go down. It's the opposite with warm air lifting to the north. Then the first chance for showers and storms coming on in. I'm a little more interested in that morning round being north of I-72, north of Champaign and Danville there, maybe along in north, so kind of the northern half of our area. And to me, this stands out as maybe the chance for some more hail, wind threat, and perhaps some rumbly thunder with it too. I don't think the tornado threat's there first thing. I think at 8 a.m., I'm not really worried about that, but we could still have some noisy and loud storms carrying on through. And so we can see a couple of those clusters kind of running in the same areas up here. That also means some areas could get some decent rain out of that. As we get to 11 a.m., still have some of those storms in here. The question will be at 11 a.m. is there any instability that lifts north that allows these storms to maybe start to spin closer to the surface? I don't think that's the case. I'm still going to watch for it. I don't trust the system very well. I'm suspicious here. And so we will still watch that. But these storms could still have some hail and wind with them as they lift to the north and to the east. That's the first round. By 12:30, it looks to be out of here, heading into northern Indiana. Then our attention will turn to what forms out to the west here. This guidance does try and bring some breaks in the clouds. That certainly is worth watching here. If that happens, then maybe that gives us a little more instability. But you can see it kind of gives these little kidney bean shaped cells here, and it just lines them up. This is the cold front. So from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I think, is our prime time for the cold front to come on through. And that's maybe when the tornado threat's going to be the greatest here, the best chance for that. And the reason this is because there's plenty of wind shear. So these storms will probably be rotating in the mid and upper levels. The question is there enough instability to help that rotation come down closer to the ground and potentially bring a tornado or two with it? So 3 o'clock, 3:30 there, you can see storms, Pontiac, Bloomington, Lincoln, Springfield, down I-55. And as we continue to work things off to the east there, 4:30. Doesn't look all that intense, but this is what we would have to watch to see if something can start to rotate there. Again, we may not know that things are a little more favorable for that until we get past that morning round and start to see what happens. Let's say there's an hour or two of sunshine ahead of it. That's when I think we have some issues. I'm not sold that's going to happen. I don't think we need it to have problems, but the sunshine would only make things worse. That's just adding fuel on a fire here. 4 or 5 o'clock here, now approaching Watseka, Gibson City, Paxton, Champaign, down towards Mattoon, Charleston, Tuscola, passing through Decatur, moving off to the east. And then as we continue there, 5:36, it's quickly heading to the east. They'll move pretty fast here. And by 6 o'clock, we get that out of here and then deal with the cold side of things. So again, as we look at this here, the morning, here's 11 a.m., there should be storms up here. There should not be any instability with them at the surface. But still, those morning storms up here could produce some large hail, maybe some gusty winds. We need that surface energy, that surface instability here, and we need that wind shear to pick up a little bit more. And guidance tries to do that as we get to that 3 o'clock hour. It's not much. It is lower. We don't need a lot of instability because we have such strong lift. We have such strong wind shear. And that lift on that front going to help compensate for a lack of instability. We get a little more then I think we're probably in some more trouble than we would be based on the forecast. But we don't need a lot to begin with. And that's something that we typically don't see here. So we'll watch and see how much instability is there. I think there's enough where it definitely is worth keeping an eye on things. Is there enough to cause bigger issues? That's still a question. And again, we may not know that until noon, 1 o'clock as we go into Sunday. But there's plenty of wind shear. And so if you can get that fuel, that instability there, if you can get that fuel for the fire and you get that spark, then things could take off. And so that's what we're watching here on the instability side of things. Currently, our tornado risk for Sunday sits at a 3 out of 10. That's low. It's not often, though, that in the wintertime we have to talk tornadoes here. Seems like every couple of years we have some chances for that. But again, this is kind of an off season. Really, tornado season is January 1st to December 31st. Tornadoes don't care about the calendar. They care about the ingredients. The ingredients are there where we have to talk about that. And so it's not out of the question that we could see that. And based on what I'm seeing, I think an upgrade could come either overnight or tomorrow morning with the Storm Prediction Center outlook. Maybe that puts us in the 4 or 5 level here. And that might be for a smaller area. We'll see if that crosses the line here. That's something I'm watching. I don't think we're at a 6. I don't think we're at an 8, 9, 10. But, hey, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wintertime, are we typically thinking about tornadoes in December? No, we're not. And so, again, we're just sounding the alarm, saying, maybe watch it, keep an eye on things, be weather aware. Last thing you want is, it's a warm day outside, I'm going to do things. And suddenly your weather app goes off, the siren starts sounding, and you're like, what is going on? So we're just making sure folks are aware of that potential there. For a vast majority of us, we probably don't have to deal with anything. There could be a couple of little zones, little areas that some of these storms travel that could, and that does favor east central Illinois into north and northwest Indiana, right through the heart of our area. And so that's something that we are considering here as we move along. Here we go with the chance for rain. Again, remember those storms in the morning trending north here? There could be some half-inch to an inch numbers there. That'd be really nice for I-72 to Danville and points to the north. South of there, we don't really get the morning round, but we get those individual cells. They're not going to produce a lot of rain here. This probably means unless we see the storms to the north drop 40, 50 miles for Champaign-Urbana, we're going to stay at the second driest year on record since 1889. We need the rain badly. Some of us will get some, but we need a whole lot more here as we head into January, February. And it looks like we'll be on track that every month in 2025 will be drier than normal here. This drought getting out of control and getting a problem. So we'll take the rain. Unfortunately, that chance for rain coming tomorrow does come with a chance for some severe weather. So that is something that we'll watch. Something I also want to talk about is on the backside here. And let me back this up a little bit. Look at our future track. Future track is trying to bring some upper 60s and low 70s ahead of our front coming on through here as we go into Sunday. So if we get a little warmer, the warmer we get, the better the chance that instability levels increase here. If we stay in the low 60s, that's probably not enough. We're forecast that mid-60s level. A couple of degrees might make a difference there if we could warm things up at the surface. But here's what I really want to point out. Look at these storms coming through 5 o'clock now, crossing I-57 here. 66, 66, 65, 65. Look at Jacksonville. By 5 o'clock, they're already down to an air temperature of 35. Temperatures are dropping quickly here. From Champaign to Springfield, that's a 26-degree difference at 5 o'clock, showing up on future track here. Once the front comes on through, temperatures will drop really quickly. We've talked about the severe weather threat. I don't want to leave out the chance for the winter side of things here. Temperatures dropping super quick. As we get to 6:37, we're now at or below freezing in the western parts of our area, and that quickly moves on through by 8 o'clock. Champaign's now down to 32. There's a decent chance there is still some moisture left on roads after the rain has come on through, particularly in that area that saw the heavier amounts along and north of I-72 towards Danville. In those areas, the potential might be there for what we would consider a flash freeze on untreated surfaces, roadways, bridges like that. If things get some salt, that might make a difference here, but we'll just have to watch that. That's something to think about on the backside here as we go into Monday morning, perhaps with temperatures well below freezing. Look at where things happen here as we go into our Monday morning. We're talking about teens, 5:30 in the morning, 13 to 17 is where those air temperatures are. Big shock to the system. Things drop quickly. We consider that a flash freeze when temperatures drop so quick that lingering moisture can freeze. And so we could deal with a little bit of black ice out there. At this point, I'm calling for low impacts to travel as we go into Monday morning for most of our area. If we had to up that, probably in those areas that get half inch or more of rain would be where we need to watch. And again, this is untreated surfaces. we'll get some salt down. We'll be fine. A lot of your side streets typically don't get that. Main roads typically do. And it also could happen faster than crews can get that salt out in Sunday evening, Sunday night. So that's something to watch. But we just can't rule out the possibility of some patchy ice out there as we go into Monday morning, late Sunday into Monday morning. So just be aware of that here as things roll on. And then even worse, here's those wind chill values here. I mean, remember, we're in the 60s ahead. Look how fast. It goes from 64 to 15 from Petersburg to Jacksonville at 6 o'clock. And once that front comes on through, wind really picks on up here. Those wind chill values, in fact, as we go into Sunday night, 10, 11 o'clock newscast, single digits, below zero into Monday morning here. Below zero wind chill values are expected into the region. That's, again, the wind chill values. That means there's wind. Currently have a wind advisory for about the northern two-thirds of our area here from, say, Lincoln, Decatur, Sullivan, towards Mattoon, Charleston, points north, about 121 into the north there generally. And that's where we could see the strongest winds as we go behind the front. Again, this wind advisory is for behind the front. The wind will be out of the west and northwest here. And we kind of think the wind gusts could be strongest here. Danville, Champaign, Lincoln North, that's where we could see some gusts up to 60. We got 55 and then 50 there. And that's enough to cause some issues as well. So it will be some really strong winds on the backside of that cold front Sunday afternoon into Sunday night and lingering into the day on Monday before things taper off a little bit there. A lot happening. I'm going to recap it here with the active weather that is ahead and to just reiterate things. So Sunday morning, we got a round of showers and storms coming on through. Feel pretty good about that forecast. I think it's along and north of I-72, east towards Danville, perhaps favoring Bloomington, Gibson City, Paxton, Watseka, Pontiac, places like that. Maybe a little further south. Heavy rain, perhaps some hail, cannot be ruled out, quarter size or larger, and even a few strong wind gusts, though I think that the better chances for hail on that. And so we'll watch that. I feel good about that forecast. Round number 2, then 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., maybe favoring 3 p.m. onward. That's when that conditional threat comes on through. Confidence, again, we got to watch a few things, but that's where we could see that chance for a couple of tornadoes, some strong winds, and maybe some hail there. And then after the front, once that severe threat ends and the cold front comes on through, boy, it will be windy. It will huff and puff and blow, and temperatures will drop quickly out there. And we'll go from the 60s to the 30s in a couple of hours and be into the teens by late Sunday night into Monday morning there. That forecast I also feel very confident about. I think we're going to just be very cold as that moves on in. So that's what we're watching here. Again, we've got the round 1 Sunday morning. Yes, there'll be storms. They'll favor the northern half of our area. Hail, probably the better chance for strong storm activity with that. I don't think there's a tornado threat. The tornado threat favors Sunday afternoon. 1 p.m. onward is when we'll really watch. I'll probably keep an eye on 11 a.m. onward, but we're kind of trying to fine-tune things, and I think the peak timing would be 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for that here. But again, we got to get some instability. We think there's some coming. How much exactly, we might not know until things get here. So that's what we are looking at, all things considered. That's what I have for you on our digital update here. Again, this is Saturday evening. Quick update for you because they only give me 3.5 minutes on TV. I might get 4 at 10. We'll see, but we'll have another update with what things look like at 10. I always like to take time to explain more. What are we looking at? What's something to watch? Where could the better chance be? In the digital side of platforms like here on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, and on our WCIA3 news and weather apps. Those are all places I think that tend to favor that a little bit more. So we will keep a close eye on that on the backside there. So again, round 1, rain, hail, thunder, perhaps some wind gusts. That's 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tornado threat looks pretty low there. I'm not really worried about that. I'll keep an eye out after 11 a.m. I'll really keep an eye at 1 p.m. I think the peak timing is 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's with that second round, but it is a conditional threat here. We still need to check a box or two, but we've been checking boxes leading up to this to bring that. And then as you go after the front, that's when you could see temperatures really drop. That flash freeze potential is there, and that's something that we'll watch. It will get cold, and it will get cold in a hurry. That's a given for after this front comes on through your area. So round 1 and after the front feel good. Round 2, still conditional. Still something to watch, but I don't want you to be caught off guard in case we start having a bit more activity. And again, I think that peak timing, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. in our area when we'll watch things move on through. That's what I have for you. And I normally would take some questions. I don't have time for that right now. They're getting ready to record some other things in the studio, but I do want to just make sure that we get this up. And if you happen to catch this later, I'll keep updates on my social media. We keep updates on the weather article on the app and on the website, and I'll have more for you coming up tonight at 10. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the warmth here of the next 24 hours, because by this time tomorrow, it will not be warm. It will be cold and raw and yucky here across central Illinois. And yes, maybe a few flurries could fly as well, but details on all of that available on the Weather Now